Well, when I first found out about it, my faith was okay, but I was always wondering why me. But then, you know, you don't question that. What God does for you, you don't do that. But coming to church, praying with the pastor that we had back then helped a lot. You always still had that stigma. Someone always looking at you, saying something about you, saying something about your children, which in the case back in 1994 when I was tested positive, 29 years ago, my children didn't have it, but I seen how people treated my children. But with faith that I had in God and been raised in this church and baptized in this church, I continued to come.
I became that pastor in 2004. And through her coming to me to disclose that she had HIV, my whole premise of being a pastor is to meet people where they are. I noticed when Jesus met people, no matter where they were in life, no matter what their lot was in life, the church had to be an embracing church. And so it was my goal to make sure that Tamika, her children, and everybody just felt that they were embraced and that they are part of God's family.
It was a blessing to get him as a pastor, him and his family. And I've never felt bothered that he was going to say different things about me and my children, because they belong here just as well as I do. I've never felt like I was alone. You know, I have more things that goes on with me than just HIV and AIDS. And as a pastor, he's always there. My mother can pick up the phone and call and say, can you please come and say a prayer? They fix to send her off, you know, and he's always there. And that's the best thing about having him as a pastor and a role model for our whole church, not just for me, but for our whole church, to let everybody know, you know, this is the church to be. And without church and my faith, I don't think I would have made it. You know, I put God first, then my children, my family, you know, and that's what keeps me going. Keeps me going. You know, without God, I don't know where I would be. Then without my family and my church family, I don't know where I would be. So I'm grateful.
And I get emotional because I've seen her fight through some things, some tough situations. You know, like she said, it's more than sometimes just HIV, sometimes the other dynamics that come along with it. And whenever her mom called, whenever she was sick, definitely I'm at the hospital praying, and I've seen her fight through. And I wanted her to know that she had that support. Her children, I love them dearly, grandchildren all. When they see me, they run up to me, they hug me. And I let the church see that this is what we're supposed to be like. We're all community. And I really feel as if you've had a strong community at this church. Yeah, because there's times she could have felt like giving up, but she knew that there were going to be people praying, pulling for her, and she was not an outsider. She is one of us, she and her family. If someone comes to me, if they want it kept confidential, then I definitely believe in confidentiality. I support that wholeheartedly. But also, I would talk to that person one-on-one and say, hey, look, you are welcome at this church. If you need to meet people that will help you navigate through it, we have what I call church coaches. They're like a minister counselor that they can talk to, someone that they can share what's going on. I make myself available as a pastor to say, hey, look, I want to be a resource. I want to encourage you. I want to support you. And so I try to tell them this is an environment where no one is ever excluded. Often from the pulpit, I preach that, I teach that, I model that. No matter who we meet, we want to make sure that they feel safe, comfortable, and never feel like that because they have a sickness or even a disability, whatever. This church is determined to wrap our arms around people. From time to time, you might find somebody who may not, but overall, the church understands that's the heart of me as a pastor. Let's put our arms around people. Let's embrace people. Let's accept them and let's encourage them and be there for them, especially during those times when they just feel as if they are alone. Because I know that's one of the dynamics that would probably come with it. Sometimes feeling like I'm alone, or if they've got children, how are they going to treat my children if they know? So just making sure you walk through those difficult times with them.
At that time in 1994, it was a bad stigma because that's the only thing we thought was death. When you heard that word, HIV and AIDS, death. And I mean, my mother, she's so, how can I say that? She's the best. when it comes to her family, her church, and everything. And I remember calling my mother saying, I'm just leaving the health department, I need to talk to you. And she came over after work and I told her. And the only thing both we could do was just cry. And she just held me. And I told her, I was like, 'cause I'm a daddy's girl. And I told her, I said, would you please tell my daddy and my siblings about it? And not one time has my family ever not been there for me. You know, and they knew it was gonna be a hard fight, and it still is to this day. You know, and the only thing back then, the only thing I used to say is, Lord, please just let me see my kids graduate. That's all I want to do, because I'm their mother. But I knew my parents would raise my children in the right way. And God blessed me. And they're 33, 32, and 31.
Yeah.
And I have 6 grandchildren, 6 beautiful grandchildren. Can't wait to see them cross the stage. But back then, you didn't really want to tell nobody. And as soon as somebody seen us at a meeting, it just hit the floor without even asking us. It just came out, like, you know. So I did, the pastor back then, I did that Sunday. I said, I need to speak to the church as a family. And I told them what was going on and that I'm living with it. My children's father was, but our children are negative. And I will not put up with anyone, and I mean anyone, talking bad to my children, saying different things to them, that you can't play with them and whatever, you know. But now to this day, I enjoy living. I might have my days when I don't want to, but then I sit back and look back, Lord, where did you come from? From 1994 to now, and with the doctors, Dr. Flynn, she was a blessing. I'm still one of her patients that's still here since she came here. And they can say, that's right there, Only thing I can say is thank you, Lord, for her. And thank you for Dr. LeBoon, but Dr. Flynn, she's my heart because she was there from day one. But nowadays, I feel like it's still bad in some different ways because people are scared to talk about it. I'm not. Once I got that courage to say, well, if I can have one person and I go through what I went through, that's the blessing that God is going to give me. And that's what I do. I enjoy talking about it, going around speaking about it, because I have grandchildren that's in high school, middle school. You know, and I just want to be there for them to let them know that everything's going to be okay. And without Pastor Hudson, you know, some days I just wonder, what would I be in? You know, when you have a praying preacher, a man that loves God and teaches us to love God, you will never fail. That's all I can say. You will never fail.
And what I want to do more of, by us having this talk today, to open it where our church can be a platform to talk about these things, because more and more our children are being exposed to a lot of things, and the more educated people are, the better off they'll be. And so I'm hoping that we have opportunities to share and to sit down and talk to our children, talk to parents at the church, to educate them more, to understand, because literally when I think about 1994, when you heard HIV, it was gloom and doom. Yes. And now you see even commercials, you see people surviving, you see people overcoming. You got a perfect example with Tamiko, an overcomer. And so I think, again, we need to give people hope and open our doors to being willing to teach and to train and to share so people will know, and to hear testimonies. Yes. Because one of the best ways to deal with HIV is to hear somebody else's testimony in addition to medication, but to hear somebody else who has been a fighter, who's been an overcomer. Don't ever underestimate the power of your story. I just remember the time she would be so sick, and I'm like, God, please, because your children were young and they loved her. Children love her. But her children love her dearly. They have a very close bond. You know, I think having that relationship lets children and grandchildren know, hey, you are accepted. And I want the whole church to make sure that we do that. Never fall short of that. She definitely gets an A+. She has fought through. And I know she just was kind of playing it down, but she has overcome a lot. And her mother has been. Family has been, her sisters, strong support, strong support. And I think that's important too, that when you have that diagnosis, that you have a support system, not just with your church, but also with your family. That's equally important. And she has had that. And the church has seen that model where her family has been there for her.
Yes, as long as they take their medicine.
Yeah.
Medicine is the key to it. If you want to be here, take it. And back in the day, back then, honey, let me tell you, I used to take over like 30 pills a day. Right now, I take 2 pills a day. That's how well it is.
That's good.
And
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate y'all coming out and talking to us, because I know it's not always a comfortable subject. But the more people we talk about it, the more comfortable it gets.
Right.
The more people realize it's just part of life.
I had to I almost choked when she started talking because you are a survivor.
Yes.
You have done so well.